It is March 2nd, 2026, and it is 7:45 a.m. local time here in Texas as we have a nonstop flood of breaking news coming in just this morning, including updates that Qatar has had to halt their production of liquefied natural gas due to the retaliatory attacks that are being carried out by Iran. You also have reports that Iran has hit a Saudi Aramco facility. We are watching energy prices soar, especially in Europe, where gas prices are already up more than 50%. The US stock market is preparing to have a very bloody and brutal day, and the attacks continue all around, with casualties that now include at least 3 US F-15 fighter jets, which were shot down over Kuwait in what Central Command is saying is a friendly fire incident. We're going to be getting into all of the latest here in this video. We have a lot to cover, so let's get to it. And let's start off with the news that Qatar Energy, which accounts for 18 to 20% of global liquefied natural gas traded, has stopped the production of LNG. The immediate reaction coming out of Europe is that gas prices have jumped more than 50% just on that news alone. You also have reports that Iran has struck Saudi Arabia's oil infrastructure, with strikes said to have affected an Aramco facility that just happens to be one of the largest oil refining and export facilities in the world. And with oil prices soaring, you have CNBC reporting that Dow futures have dropped 500 points. It is going to be a brutal day for the US stock market. And this is just the beginning, but it is a reminder of why President Trump seemed to want to have this war wrapped up in, just 4 days. He seemed to think that the US was going to go into Iran, carry out a few decapitation strikes, the government was going to fall, and then we were going to get to the work week and, everything would be fine. But everything is not fine, and Iran is retaliating exactly as it said it would. Oh, and it's also not negotiating with the United States like Trump seemed to think that it would. It really makes you wonder if the Trump administration took literally anything other than Plan A into account when carrying out this attack. But here we are, and they better start coming up with a Plan B and a Plan C at this point, because while yes, the number of casualties, there is a bit of disparity there, as we have the IRGC reporting that their attacks on US bases in the region have resulted in more than 500 casualties. We have the Pentagon reporting that just 4, I believe the number's up to 4 US soldiers have been killed as a result of these attacks. Well, we do have the US admitting to another casualty, as Central Command released a statement saying that at 11:03 p.m. Eastern on March 1st, 3 U.S. F-15E Strike Eagles flying in support of Operation Epic Fury went down over Kuwait due to an apparent friendly fire incident. Now, this is all still breaking news. We don't know exactly what happened. We don't know if it was fire from Kuwait's air defenses that hit these 3 F-15s. We don't know if it was Iran and their incoming missiles that hit them. Interesting that Central Command has been so quick to blame this on a friendly fire incident. I'm sure we will learn more about it in the days and weeks to come, because this is a major deal. Also important to note that Central Command is reporting that all of the pilots in these F-15s did eject safely. But it's also a reminder that the US is not prepared for a prolonged war here. They were prepared to go in and carry out these strikes. They were prepared to follow Iranian leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, which apparently they did according to the New York Times, and saw that he was going about business as usual. He was in his office. There was a meeting of top Iranian commanders to, decide how to respond to the US and all of these nuclear talks that had been ongoing, because of course the Trump administration is carrying out an attack in the middle of negotiations once again. And so then the US decided to come in and strike. But you look at the fallout of this and you really have to question just how much the US was actually prepared for here, because you have Trump telling the Atlantic that Iran wants to talk and that he has agreed to talk, so he will start talking to them. He also said that when it comes to the possibility of regime change in Iran, quote, that is going to happen. You are seeing that, and I think it's going to happen. A lot of people are extremely happy over there and in Los Angeles and in many other places. Now, this could just be Trump being Trump, right? Putting on a big show and acting as though he's still going to achieve his initial goals. But the Iranian government is still standing, right? They have not fallen. They are in the process of choosing a new leader as is set up by their constitution. All of the commanders that the US came in and killed, Iran is replacing, just like they do every single time the US carries out an attack or initiates another phase of this war. And so, this idea that Iran's leader was some sort of dictator and that the moment that he falls, that the entire country, the entire government falls apart simply is not true. And the fact that Trump is bringing up, oh, well, there are all these people in Los Angeles cheering, like, okay, what does that actually have to do with Iran? Are Iranians in Iran cheering? Do all those people in Los Angeles want to go back to Iran? I don't think so. So they can cheer all they want to, but it's about the people within Iran. It's their choice. And they have been largely in support of their current government. The last thing that they want is some CIA-backed, Mossad-backed, US and Israel supported government coming in and taking control. So Trump is saying that the Iranians want to talk. And we've seen this idea floated within the mainstream media over the last 24 hours or so that the quote unquote new leadership in Iran is really open to talking with the US. And I'm like, what new leadership? They have not chosen a new leader, first and foremost. But beyond that, you still have the same Iranian president. You didn't kill him, and he was willing to talk the entire time. So this idea that, oh, the US was able to, and see, they did the exact same thing with Venezuela, where they went in, they kidnapped Nicolas Maduro, the sitting president, and then they acted as though the Venezuelan government, what was left of it, just kind of fell over, right? The vice president, Delcy Rodriguez, who became the new acting president, oh, she really wants to work with the United States. It's like Venezuela never declined to talk to the US or to work with the US. And so I'm not surprised to immediately see this narrative about Iran that, oh, they suddenly want to talk, but that's not what we're hearing from Iran. Instead, Ali Larijani, the secretary of the Supreme National Security Council of Iran, took to X to say, quote, "We will not negotiate with the United States." He also said that Trump's wishful thinking has dragged the whole region into an unnecessary war, and now he is rightly worried about more American casualties. It is indeed very sad that he is sacrificing American treasure and blood to advance Netanyahu's illegitimate expansionist ambitions. And speaking of Netanyahu, I should also add that we don't know where he is right now, and the IRGC is reporting that they specifically targeted and attacked his office. As in a statement, Iran's Revolutionary Guard said that the office of the criminal prime minister of the Zionist regime and the location of the commander of the Air Force of this regime's army were targeted and severely hit by targeted and surprise attacks of K-bar missiles in the 10th wave by the armed forces of the Islamic Republic of Iran. The fate of the prime minister of the Zionist regime is unknown. Now, I know that over the weekend we did see reports that Netanyahu's plane was seen fleeing to Berlin, notably. So I don't know if he was in Israel. I don't know if he was in his office, but it is notable that Iran is not holding back here. I mean, this is truly an unprecedented retaliation at every possible turn, not just the fact that you have all of these US military bases being targeted all at once. That in itself is unprecedented, but the fact that Iran is going after Netanyahu and not hiding it. And I know that people will come into my comments and say, oh, well, we don't know if he killed him. You're right. We don't know if those strikes were successful, but the fact that they are willing to target Netanyahu, that in itself is a massive reminder that Iran is not holding back here. Their leader was just murdered, so why shouldn't they target the leader of the regime, if you will, that is directly targeting them? And so as you have these reports that Trump is desperate for a deal, that he only wanted this to go on for, maybe 4 days. Now he's reaching out to Iran going, hey, we killed your leader. We need to agree to some sort of a ceasefire. Iran is refusing to do so. So that puts the US in a very interesting position here, especially as you have journalist Max Blumenthal noting that the Washington Post is reporting that the mood inside the Pentagon is intense and paranoid. The Pentagon leaders worry the US will expend its air defense stockpiles and the conflict will spiral out of control. That this is precisely what Pentagon Joint Chiefs Chair Dan Kane warned of last week. And do you remember how offended Trump was? So offended at this idea that the US couldn't handle this war, offended at the idea that we needed to take the current state of US weapons stockpiles into account. And yet, Iran is over here. They're prepared for a long war. I know that a lot of the commentary that I get is that people will say, oh, well, Iran's not hitting that or they're not hitting that. They don't realize that all of these attacks that Iran is carrying out is causing the US and their regional allies to respond with their air defenses. And they have a finite number of air defense missiles. So every time that they have to respond to one of Iran's attacks, sure, the Iranian missiles and drones may or may not hit. They may or may not cause damage. But what they are doing is they are continuing to lessen the supplies that the US has to respond. Iran is making it clear that it is prepared for a prolonged war, and the US simply is not. So that puts us into a very dangerous position as this entire Operation Epic Fury that Trump agreed to sign on to, that he told Netanyahu, okay, yeah, sure, let's do this. Let's have the war. As that gets worse and worse for the US and Israel, because they were not prepared for it to go on this long. And even Trump's estimate of, oh, maybe 4 weeks, maybe 5 weeks, that's still putting him closer and closer into territory that the US is not remotely prepared for. Again, a lot of breaking news coming out today. I'm covering it as fast as I can get to it. Thank you so much to all of you for your patience. Thank you for being here along for this journey and for continuing to like, subscribe, comment, and show your support. As always, if you want to keep up with all of my work, make sure that you're subscribed to my page on Substack. That's rachelblevins.substack.com. That's where you'll find ad-free videos and new weekly episodes of my exclusive series for paid subscribers called Sanctioned. You can also catch Sanctioned over on my page on Patreon. That's patreon.com/rachelblevins. As always, thank you all so much for all of your support, and I'll see you back here soon.